I pulled together 3 watches today from the Guarded Crown collection. They're all Submariner dates with the reference 16610, but they're different and unique in their own special ways. And so these 3 models, one of which is from 1999, the other in the middle here from 2002, and then the one on the end is from 2005, have a few subtle differences. And I'm going to talk about those differences. In specific, they are that they have different markations at the 6 o'clock position on the dial, they have different bracelet end links, and they have different lug hole drillings. So the first watch here is an A serial, Swiss-only dial, hollow end link. This is the end link here, and the difference between this watch and the other ones is that this piece of metal underneath is hollow. At the 6 o'clock position on the dial, there is a markation that says the word Swiss, whereas on the other dials that I'm going to show you, you're going to notice that it says something a little bit different. And on the side of the watch, you're going to notice that it has drilled lug holes right there. The next watch that I'm going to pull out for you is a 2002 Y serial. This watch has solid end links, but it also has the drilled lug holes like the previous model. And down at the 6 o'clock position, it has the word Swiss made. 2 very similar watches with subtle differences. Now we're going to notice a bigger change. This also has the word Swiss made. This also has solid end links. But on the case, the slab at the side of the case, this is called a trou borné, which in French means blind hole. There's no lug holes drilled here. So the watchmaker, if we need to take off the watch, the case back, will have to use a different tool, more like a tweezer style rather than a pin pusher, to remove the bracelet. This particular model is a D serial from 2005. So while only a few years separate these, and while you'll notice that they actually have the same reference number, there's subtle differences there. And in the collector community, those subtle differences make a big difference. Some collectors prefer to have the drilled lug holes because it's certainly significantly easier with a strap changing tool just to push with a pin pusher into that hole and easily remove the bracelet. Where on this one here that we were looking at, the D serial, you have to use the fork end of a tool and carefully and skillfully press the other side at the same time and pull the bracelet out. It's much more challenging, we'll say, than just using a pin pusher. Some people love the solid end link bracelets because they just feel more robust on the wrist. They're less likely to stretch out over time. They don't scratch the case in between the lugs as much as the hollow end links do, because of a tighter tolerance. And then some people like this particular one from 1999 because of the Swiss-only dial configuration. This is probably the more rare, even though they're not truly rare, but it's the more rare of the grouping. I like all 3 of these watches, but as you can imagine, I'm always going to go for the rarer of the group, regardless of the hollow end links or solid end links. To be honest, I don't often wear my Submariner on a bracelet of this vintage. I like NATO straps a lot, so I'm regularly wearing those, and I'll show you a few in a second. I pulled out a couple of NATO straps to show you what I love about them so much. So we're going to talk a little bit about fabric, a little bit about hardware, and I'm going to show you real quick how easy it is to remove a bracelet from a watch that has drilled lug holes. First, I do want to show you though, this is what a hollow end link looks like as compared to a solid end link. Now to remove, when you have a drilled lug hole, you're just going to apply a pusher into that hole that you see there. Of course I'm blind, so it's hard. You're going to push and comes out real easy. Now you'll take your pin and reinsert it. So now you see it back in. Now in order to put a NATO strap on, and I'm going to take my watch off right now just to show you. The way the strap works is it just passes underneath the spring bars. So if we're going to insert one in, we start from the top, pass it underneath the spring bar, behind the case back, and out through the other side of the spring bar. And then feed it through the retaining strap here, retaining buckle, and there you go. Now, some guys like to pass their NATO straps back upon themselves because there's definitely going to be an extra layer of fabric you're going to notice here. So once you feed it through both of the buckles on your wrist, I'm having a little trouble there. There we go. Once you feed it through the buckles on your wrist, you're going to have this extra fabric. Some guys like to tuck it back this way. Some guys like to tuck it underneath the first strap, the retaining buckle. I actually like to tuck it back upon itself. I think it's the most minimal and clean looking. That's the way I wear mine. Your mileage may vary. There's a couple of different NATO strap styles. There's more than a couple, but I brought a few out for you to take a look at. This one here has a little bit heavier weight fabric, and this is a little bit lighter weight fabric. This is a little bit more robust, and it may not fit under all spring bars on all watches. The thinner ones seem to do pretty well on 99% of the watches. Now, I like this sort of upgraded hardware on mine, whereas if you'll notice on the one that I'm wearing right now, it has a much lighter weight hardware. This is probably more true to the original style of NATO straps that were produced in England, but what we have available to us nowadays, just like our watch technology, are pieces that are significantly more finely built. So these, as you'll see, are from a manufacturer called Toxic NATOs, and it's owned by a guy named Terry, who's a former US military vet. He makes really good, really robust, really well executed NATO straps. If you like what you saw today, please leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel, it'll really help us grow. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Thanks a lot.